It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you might be in. Welcome to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so happy you could tune in today. I have a jam-packed show. Since it's the first Wednesday in March, only 16 days until spring. Can you believe it? I'm not going to talk about our good weather in Arizona. I just want to wish everybody melting snow, warm temperatures, and lots of sunshine. What a bad weather you guys have had. So many parts of the country. My gosh, I've never seen so much snow. Anyway, it's great to be back and be healthy. That terrible flu bug decided to jump on me, and boy, it hit me, but good. It was awful. The temperature, the aches, the pains. I even had to have an IV twice. It was terrible, so please stay healthy. And not that it helped me, but I do want to share one of my tips. I always keep a bottle of hand sanitizer in my car, and every time I get back in the car from being in a public place, I clean my hands with it, put a little squirt. And you know what? It's a great thing to do with your kids, too, especially if they're in the shopping carts and they touch everything. I can't guarantee, but it sure can hurt. Anyway, let me tell you, we did have one recall today. It was the Dream On Me recall 2-in-1 bassinet to cradle. Says the wire supports on the sides can disconnect, causing the fabric sides to lower, posing a risk because the babies can fall out or become trapped and suffocate. Anyway, I will put that on my websites, mybestparentingadvice.com and babyinstructions.com. And because it's the first Wednesday in March, you know what that means. Connie Gruning from Peanut Butter and Wine is the regular. And she's going to tell us what's hot and what's not in March. But I do want to share one more thing with you before I welcome Connie. I was reading the paper this morning in USA Today. This is pretty funny. It was the Tooth Fairy more generous. The average gift per tooth since the recession in 2008. 2008, if the kids lost a tooth ages 6 to 12-year-old children, the Tooth Fairy left $1.88. In 2010, $2.52. In 2011, $2.10. I don't know. Things are looking up. In 2014, for the children losing teeth, the Tooth Fairy left approximately $4.36. Now, I don't know who comes up with these, but my goodness, I used to get a quarter. I don't know about you guys out there, but I used to get a quarter when I lost my tooth, and then I know it went up to $1 at one point. Anyway, wow. Connie, welcome to the show. What does your Tooth Fairy leave?
Good morning. I got a quarter, or if my parents were really broke at the time, I got a nickel. But I didn't get any dollar bills.
No, I think I got a dollar bill once, but I think it was for my grandfather, and it wasn't under the pillow. But anyway.
What's really sad is that I have a jar. It's an old-fashioned colored-in jar, but it's full of all my children's baby teeth. It's probably don't ask me why I saved them, and I'm afraid to throw them away. They're 36 years old.
Well, you know what?
Why do I still have a jar of teeth?
Looking on your site, maybe you could take a picture of them, have them put on one of those blankets, and then you can throw it away. The tooth blanket. Anyway, I'm so happy you could be on the show today. Let's get right into it. What's going on in March? I know I just went on trying to get this blanket. It's wonderful. Tell my listeners.
Oh, this blanket. This is a fleece photo blanket, custom made just for you. You decide how many pictures. I kind of went a little overboard. Most people maybe put 10. I put a lot. But I couldn't decide which pictures not to put on. And it just makes me happy. It's very soft. It's made of a washable fleece. It's warm. It's a good cuddle-up blanket. Plus, it has all my favorite people in the whole wide world on it. And it's such a happy blanket. It's it's perfect. It really, truly is. It's done by collage.com, and I get to give one away, and it's a 50 inches by 60 inches. And I was thinking with Mother's Day coming up, how perfect would this blanket be? Or how about the end of the year, if you got all the students and get every student to give one picture of themselves and have this be a teacher appreciation gift.
Wow, that's a great idea.
That be?
Oh my
Isn't
gosh.
that cute?
Better than the box of candy.
This blanket is so customizable. You decide if you want it to be all in black and white. Do you want your photos to be more vibrant? Do you want a border around them? Do you want a picture in the background? It is just the coolest blanket. And the pictures are so well defined for being on fleece that when I took it out of the box, my husband goes, "Where are you going to put that?" And I go, "On the couch." And he goes, "Oh, I thought it was a wall hanging."
Do you put them on through the computer? Do you just send them, with a link from the computer, or how do you send the pictures?
Yep. No, you're going to do it all on the computer, and you're going to rearrange the pictures how you want them.
What?
So it's all your blanket. This is how you want it to look.
Well, there's 22 days left. I'm going to be coming back every day.
Oh, very good. Okay. Next up, today is World Read Aloud Day.
That's right.
Everybody grab your kids, grab your grandkids, and sit and read with your children. Reading with your children is so important. It really does make them develop this lifelong desire and love of reading. Kids play these video games so much that they aren't reading real books, and, they need to.
And, I don't mean to interrupt you, but what one of my tips is when you read your books with the kids, you can't do this online. You can do the voices when you read a book. If there's a wolf, if there's a something, you can do the voices and have your children do the voices of the characters in the book. Nothing like reading a book.
Exactly. And with us, I find a word or a phrase, and I'll tell Alice, okay, when this, especially the repetitive books, and I'll tell Alice, this is your line. So you have to say this, and she gets into this, and it's fun to read together, and they don't care if you stumble over your words, and they don't care if all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I don't remember how to pronounce that word." And they don't care. They just want you to read them, and like I said in my post, Alice is to the point now where my hugging and cuddling and squishy face is getting few and far between, but she will come running if it's the chance to listen to a book. So that's a very good thing. And since I'm talking about books, there's another set of books, and they're called Tiny Traveler. And these are super cute little board books. And I know you're thinking, well, Alice is 3.5. She really doesn't need a board book. But we're using our board books to learn to read because they have such great sight words. And these books are so cute. Their primary focus is for teaching basic concepts like your numbers, your shapes, your colors. So the first one we did was Egypt, and it's so cute because she was so intrigued with the Great Sphinx that she wanted to go to the library, and we looked at books and picture books, and we checked out a book on the pyramids.
That's
how
great.
amazing is that? And from a board book. So don't discount your board books. Don't throw them away when your kids are, big enough. Use them as your sight word books. This is really a cute set of books. They're not only written, but they're also illustrated by Misty Kennison. She is super cute. I mean, she zeroed right in on these books, and they are perfect. I'm hoping she does another one. I think she should do Italy and do one for food, and then she should do one across the U.S. with, like, the Grand Canyon and the Washington Monument. I mean, she could, I have lots of ideas for her. She should
These are so
writing,
cute. I'm looking at them. The pictures are great. What a great way to do history and, with the little ones. They don't have to wait till they go to school.
Exactly. We go to pre-K now, and we were doing an art project, and the teacher said, okay, moms, make sure you write the kid's name on it. And Alice goes, I'll do it. The other moms are looking at her like, she can write her name? I'm like, of course she can. She's 3. But she's my granddaughter. Of course she can. She's brilliant.
So what else?
What else do we have? Okay, so those are my main things for today. I also have my normal $35 giveaway that is my thank you to my fans, and also a diamond candle giveaway. Another one that's great, though, is the table decor by Smarty Had a Party, which, how do you not want to shop at a place called Smarty Had a Party? This place is so cool. We're planning my oldest daughter's wedding, so we're looking for places that have better prices on things like, simple things like a plastic plate. But I don't want just a plain old plastic plate. I want something with the lace around it. This one has it. This site has everything. And their packages include...
I'm so excited because I'm doing a baby shower for my daughter. This is so cute.
You have to see some of these. They have the prettiest color, and it comes with like a real silk table runner. It comes with silverware that if you didn't pick it up, you would swear it was real silverware. It looks that real.
I love the boa on Alice. How cute for the tea party.
Oh, my gosh. We are so into princess dress-up. If you go to Costumes Direct, you can spend very little money or go to the Goodwill. We have huge tea parties. We have to get dressed up. We have to wear feather boas and hats and long gloves. And
you know what? Kids love to dress up. You always have to have that dress-up box, which is so neat. I love all your things this month. Anything else? We have about a half a minute left. 30 seconds, I'm thinking. 1 minute. Okay, we have 60 seconds. Thanks, Casey.
We have 60 seconds. Oh, I know. Okay, with the cars nowadays, a lot of parents have the DVD player in the car, and you're usually, I have so many DVDs for my car, but they're all kids' movies. I was starting to run out of places to put it. I have a DVD storage wallet, and it's a giveaway. All my giveaways are listed on the right-hand side of my blog, just a couple of inches down. This one, it holds, I can't even remember how many it holds. Holds a lot, more than I have on DVDs. 256 DVDs or CDs. So you will never run out of room. It has a handle so I can put it over the back seat of the headrest. This thing is awesome. It's 3 days left on that. Entering my giveaway is super easy. There's always a freebie. You're welcome to just do that. Just click to begin. All of the instructions are right there.
And really easy.
When you do it, super easy.
Well, we will talk to you next month.
All right, and now I got to find out what a jollyologist is. I can't wait.
Stay tuned. He'll be with us. We'll be right back.
I will.
Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter. Equipped with the right skills, knowledge, and most of all the right questions, you too could have the success you're looking for. Join Laura Atchison as she hosts the Entrepreneur Masterclass each Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's been said success comes from not only what you know, but who you know. But what if you don't have access to the top experts? Well, that has changed. Laura Atchison, best-selling author, international speaker, and business strategist, brings you top experts from all around the world to help you take your business and your life to new heights. Join Laura for the Entrepreneur Masterclass every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the All Business Radio Network. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so excited about today's show. My next guest, one of my favorites, although you're all my favorites, is Allen Klein. You know, life is just a bowl of cherries, says Lou Brown. Well, tell that to new, ecstatic, sleep-deprived parents. I don't know if that's what they're thinking. Allen Klein is a jollytologist and author of many wonderful books. He's an award-winning professional speaker. and he's sold over 600,000 books. He's the world's only certified jollytologist, and he resides in San Francisco, California. And I'm so excited to be able to talk to him today. We're going to be talking about his book, Having the Time of Your Life, Lessons to Live By. You know, I love all his books, and I find myself picking them up every day, either for a chuckle or an aha moment. And I have a book on my desk right now. It's from 1988. It's Parent Laughs. I mean, I've been reading Allen Klein's things for years, and it's funny. The Parent Laughs books, quips, quotes, anecdotes about raising children. You'll find them on my website. You'll find quotes from his books all the time. But I have to tell you, a jollytologist, just the word alone makes me smile. We should all be happy and jolly. So, Allen, thanks so much for being on the show today. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Of course, I'm happy and jolly. How else could I be?
Oh, that's good, because if you said something else, I would go, uh-oh, you better tell us more.
Well, you know, the reason for that, not everything goes great all the time, particularly with parenting. I have a daughter, so I know that. But we have the choice, you know. How are we going to look at that? And what I was realizing this morning thinking about your show is my daughter, I think, is going to be 47 this year. And I'm thinking how fast that time went. And there were some wonderful moments. There were not so wonderful moments. But how, how quickly it goes and how we need to enjoy the time that we are given with our kids because, it goes by so quickly and we don't know when we might not be here to enjoy it.
You know, that's so true. And I always wish when I deal with the new parents that I'll say to them, you will never believe how fast this is going to go. But it's all relative because you look back, like I look back at my grown children and think, my gosh, I can still remember, delivering them and taking them to preschool and, all of that. It goes really quickly. And I was looking, it's funny because when I was reading the introduction to your book, Having the Time of Your Life, I can remember for some reason as a kid saying this, what's life? A magazine. How much does it cost? 25 cents. I only have a dime. That's tough. What's tough? Life. What's life? A magazine. You know what? Life is a magazine. I love the introduction. It's true.
Yeah, but I think people today, youngsters today, they don't know what life is, meaning the Life magazine. No. When I grew up, there was no TV. There was radio, no TV, and we got pictures of the world because you could not get pictures on the radio, but I can get pictures through Life magazine. So every Thursday, I'd run to the mailbox to get my copy of Life magazine.
So, and I remember I have some that I saved, and I remember, too, looking at the Life magazine, and now the Internet is Life magazine. Or right. A lot of Life magazines. So let me ask you, did you always want to be an author?
No, I actually, when I lived in New York City, grew up there, and when I was 7 years old, my parents took me to see my first Broadway show, Oklahoma. And I sat so well through that they took me to see, a couple of weeks later, my second Broadway show, Carousel. And we came in late, and at the end of the show, I refused to leave the theater. I was a kid, I didn't know, and I wanted to see the beginning. I thought it was like the movies. So I just sat there and would not leave, and that had dragged me out of the theater. But looking back, what I realized is that was so influential in my life, because from that day on, I wanted to make those pretty stage pictures, and I became a scenic designer. I went to Yale Drama School, graduate school, and became a scenic designer, worked at CBS Television for 10 years, and did a number of shows I think you might have heard of, Jackie Gleason Show, Merle Griffin Show, and my big show was Captain Kangaroo.
Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Green
and I learned to think like a child. I think that's where I got a lot of my attitude towards life these days is from that show, because I had to think like a child. And children are always, not always, but frequently happy and playful and don't take things as seriously as adults do. And so that really rubbed off on me. So no, I did not want to be an author, although I do remember writing a poem that got in the school newspaper. So maybe there was a little inkling in the 6th grade.
That's funny. We don't know.
My writing.
That's funny. We don't know. You know, and you're talking about the theater. All I could think of is Poor Judd is Dead from Oklahoma. Because my son actually won a Zony Award for playing that part. And I look at my children and, you know, you never know, you know, what your children are going to end up doing. And if you also, for myself, if you had told me that I was going to be an author, and I always loved kids, I always loved babies, and I always loved toddlers. But when I look back, too, I remember in college, my friends used to say to me, how come you can write a paper the night before and you get an A, and it takes us like 3 weeks? So looking back, you know, to myself, not that we're supposed to be talking about me, but it's interesting. There are tips that if you go back, you don't actually know at the time.
Right. And, you know, you just said something that really hits home for me, and that is we don't know sometimes our past or that we could do stuff that we never thought we could do. For instance, I got into professional speaking because I wanted to share with the world how important a sense of humor is. And I found that out. My wife passed away at 34, and she had a great sense of humor and helped us get through that difficult 3 years. And so I devoted my life to teaching people about humor and the therapeutic value and how it can help us cope. And looking back, I realized, you know, sometimes I'm in front of 500 people, 1,500 people speaking, and I almost failed speech in college.
That's pretty funny.
And I'm going, wow, look at that. And so sometimes we think, you know, I failed speech and almost failed speech, that was awful, you know, I got a D or D minus, but life changes, you know, things change, and so we don't see at that moment, you know, what's going to happen to us in the future and how major changes could happen in our life that we would never expect. I mean, if you told me I was going to be a professional speaker, I'd say, you are nuts. I'm not getting up in front of a group and speaking, and, you know, here I am doing it and getting paid for it.
Gosh, and you're so great. But it's interesting because, you know, dealing with the new parents, they sometimes see their kids' strengths and then all of a sudden they'll say, well, he's going to grow up and be a chef, or he's going to grow up and be a lawyer and whatever. And it's funny because you wonder how much they influence, but then what happens? We've heard so many stories about kids that have dropped out of school because they wanted to do something else, and they've been very successful. Not that you shouldn't tell your children to go to college, but it's interesting because, you know, what happens when you're a new parent and as your child gets older? I'm going to talk about on my show, on one of my shows coming up, there was an article in the New York Times about taking first graders to college campuses and giving them a tour and doing mock sign-ups. And I'm thinking, is this good? I mean, they're in first grade. They're still babies at first grade.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like taking your kids to work. You know, just whatever expands their horizons, I think, is good. You know, I'm not saying sign them up that day for college, you know, but I think it does expand their horizons. The interesting thing in what you're talking about now is when my daughter had graduated college, she got a job in one of the card, you know, like Hallmark or Papyrus gift shops, and she really wanted to teach kids art. She's an artist, and she got an offer to do that one day a week, and they would not let her take the day off. They said, no, you can't leave the store. We need you. And she called me up in tears. You know, I want to do that, but they won't let me go. What should I do? And I said, Sarah, I've always lived my life to do what I love, and it may be difficult at the beginning, but generally I get good at it, and then people pay me for it. And so she quit that store, and within 3 months, she had a different art job every single day of the week. And she is now an artist, loves what she does. She's gone around the world. She's been to places like Croatia 3 times with her artwork.
Wow.
Last week, she just had a show here in San Francisco that I went to. So I think we need to encourage our kids to do what they truly love, because that will nurture them throughout their life.
You know, I so agree, because my son is an actor, and you know what? I encouraged it. It's a funny story, because we're Jewish, and it was time for his bar mitzvah, and he didn't want to have one. He wanted to be in a play. He said, I only want the party. And I just want the party. I don't care about the rest of the prayers and all that. And I thought, you know what? Great. He was in his first play when he was 12 years old. And
great.
He's gone on from there, lived in New York for a while. And I always encouraged it, because he's got the creative gene. And I think you do have to respect what your children want to do, and you have to also expose them and see, who knows what's going to happen. And speaking of your very talented daughter that I know you're so proud of, she had an awesome thing on Facebook. I have to mention that. What you had on Facebook. It was the coolest thing.
Oh, wasn't that great? Yeah.
That was something.
Yeah, no, she's very talented. She's now very happily, doesn't get a steady paycheck, but gets artist in resident grants and does get paid for some of her work, and just as happy, and I think I learned this from my father. And unfortunately, sometimes negative things are our best teachers. And what I would see, my father was a printer. He loved printing. He did printing all his life, but he hated his bosses. And so he'd come home and he'd be upset and angry at the boss, and even though he liked what he was doing. And, he wouldn't eat dinner because he was so upset and things like that. And I realized I was never going to be something where I couldn't do what I loved, and that I would be my own boss. And so I did that even at CBS Television when I was designing those shows. We were given the show, and if it took you 4 hours to design it, great. If it took you, 15 hours to design it, that you didn't get paid by the hour. You got paid by the show. So I always have done what I've loved, and that's why I love speaking and writing. Because I do it on my own time, and when I want and when I'm inspired, and have the time, to enjoy life.
Well, I have to interrupt you. We're going for a commercial. We'll be right back.
Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Welcome to Geraldine Tegelove Live, the show that shares with you the secrets of redefining, reinventing, and rebuilding your life. Having pulled herself from the rubble of financial ruin and having gone on to create a highly successful career, Geraldine has become an expert in the art of transformation. She believes that it doesn't matter where you are right now, how overwhelmed you feel, or how impossible the task of turning your life around may seem. You can do it. Stay tuned as metaphysician, international best-selling author, and intuitive Geraldine Tegelove gives you the inner understanding and the outer practical how-to to create your amazing life. Gain a fresh perspective on how to redefine, reinvent, and rebuild your life. Join Geraldine Tegelove live every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the TogiNet Radio Network.
Hey, my horoscope in the Coffee News says I'm going to make a big change in my life.
Wow, I love the ads in the Coffee News and trying to find Cuppy to win prizes.
Yeah, and the fun facts and trivia are killer, too.
Hey, maybe we should advertise our business in there. I hear it's very inexpensive and everybody I know reads it.
Awesome idea! Let's call 903-283-0203 or go to coffeenewstyler.com and get her done.
What's that number again?
It's 903-283-0203. coffeenewstyler.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, Woody Allen said, what if everything is an illusion and nothing exists? In that case, I definitely overpaid for my carpet. That's in Allen Klein's book, Having the Time of Your Life, Little Lessons to Live By. I love this book. I love all your books, but there's so many great quotes from so many people. You know, I have, first of all, tell my listeners, what's a jollytologist? Where did that come from? I love the word.
Well, I made it up because I do believe you can be whoever you want, and that's what I was aiming for. And it actually comes from a Greek word, gelos, G-E-L-O-S, which means laughter, and ology is study of. And since I studied that for a number of years, and humor, I studied humor and laughter, I called myself a Jellotologist, but people thought I made the wiggly dessert. So I changed it to Jollytologist. And as you said before, you know, people hear that and it's a little inkling of what I do perhaps, and they also get a little chuckle, which is my aim in the world, is to help people chuckle a little more.
And that's what, you know what, it's interesting because many times I've done this experiment. When I've gone out, and if I see somebody that looks really grumpy, I'll smile at them. And you know what? It's half and half. Sometimes they smile back at you. Sometimes they look at you like you're some crazy person. But it always makes me feel better. So I have a question. Are you a worrier?
I wouldn't say I worry. I'm a planner. So I'm always kind of thinking ahead. And then, I don't know what the word is. It's not worry, concern. I'm a concerner. You know, I'm concerned that it's going to turn out the way I want, or that it's going to be right. But then I also go the next step. If it doesn't turn out the way I want, you know, I, one, try to change my attitude about it, but two, look at what is the lesson for me right here? What am I supposed to be learning? You know, how am I supposed to grow from this so-called negative experience? And I say so-called because I think things are the way they are, but it's our attitude that really makes the difference. So I don't think I'm a worrier, but I am a concerner.
That's a good word. Well, the reason I asked it, because, you know, it's great to watch little toddlers, babies, little kids, because they live in the moment. And, you know, of course, with a toddler, it's all about them. But they don't know about worrying. And I see these parents, and they're constantly worrying about everything. And I so wish I say, don't worry, it'll be fine. You know, I know it'll be fine because this is what I do for my living. And you know it'll be fine because you do what you do. And, you know, if you tell somebody to change their attitude, sometimes they look at you and go, yeah, right. But it's so true. And if we could keep the innocence that these little kids have, and we could look at them and not worry, and if the parents could not worry so much, I mean, I always wonder, do you think moms worry more than dads, or dads just don't admit it when they have little ones or bigger ones?
You know, and I think if they change the word, and I'm just talking the top of my head here, but change the word worry to concern, so they're concerned about their child. But worry is so heavy. Worry is stressful. But concern is more caring and more loving.
It certainly is. And, you know, when you look back at things, at least I've looked back many times at things I've worried about. Like if you look at 2 days later, they weren't even important. You know, and a perfect example, since you have a daughter, is sometimes they'll do something and you'll be all concerned and worried and nervous. And they went on to the next thing, which you're still worried because you're the parent.
And that's what kids do, right? I mean, you know, I don't have a young child anymore. You know, my daughter's grown, but I do have a dog, and I notice some of the same things. They're so in the moment. You know, they're so in the moment that I'll give my dog a treat, and 2 minutes later she comes by for another treat because she forgot, you know. But I see from pets, too, how they're like very young children, you know, and they're just right there with you and loving you and in the moment.
We should all be in the moment. So with all your quotations, how did you come up with that, and how do you get people to give you the quotations? Do you talk to them? Do you look them up? They're wonderful.
Well, it all started when I wrote my first book, The Healing Power of Humor. I was collecting quotes to put in each chapter, the head of each chapter, on humor, laughter, and play, stuff like that. And that book was published, and I looked, and I had probably 300 to 500 quotes on joy, happiness, laughter, play, all. And I thought, this should be a book. So I put together that book, and I sold it to a publisher. And that actually, it went out of print. It sold 5,000 copies, and then they stopped printing. But then I got there was no email at the time, I got a letter saying, congratulations, they sold that book to Random House.
Wow.
And Random House put it into a beautiful little gift book. And it did so well that they asked me to do another quote book and another quote book and another quote book. And it just took off, all of these inspirational, motivational quote books. So now I think I have 7 of those on the market. One of them is Having the Time of Your Life. And at that time, there was no Internet. I would buy books on quotes and just go through every page. I must have 50 to 100 quotation books in my library. Now I can go on the Internet. If I have a theme, say attitude, I'll look up attitude quotations, and there will be thousands. And then for this particular book, Having the Time of Your Life, I wrote to all of my speaker friends, and I said, what is your favorite quote about life, about living, and about why we're here and how to enjoy the journey? And so there's some incredibly wonderful stories, anecdotes, and quotations from people maybe you never heard of, but these are people who are famous in the speaking world, and you won't find these anywhere else.
Well, you know what? I just keep going through this book, and I love it. And I love quotations anyway. I always end my show with 1 or 2 of them. And, many times I will pull your books out, even though it's easy to go on the Internet. And I always go back. I was talking in the beginning about the Parent Laugh books, because we do a parent show, and it always makes me laugh. Like Nora Ephron said, if pregnancy were a book, they would cut out the last 2 chapters. And I think, so many parents can identify with a lot of this, but I wish more they could identify with having the time of your life. And that's what I said about the show, because so many times, especially in our world, you have families and both parents are working and they have the kids in daycare or they have a nanny. I'm talking about with the young children. And they come home from work or they have to stop at the grocery store on their way home, and these kids are crying and the parents are tired. And, how do you stop and just say, I'm stopping? It's easy because our children are grown up. I think it's a little easier to stop and say, okay, here's a lesson. And, I do what you do too. And the negative stuff really does teach us, but how do they stop in the middle of the tantrum crying child and say, wow,
well,
I'm going to change
one of the things I teach in my Healing Power of Humor workshops is to have things around, because there'll be negative moments like that, but have things around that you can instantly look at or use, like a little prop, like a red clown nose. If they have red clown noses around the house and put that on and look in the mirror, I guarantee they'll at least have a smile when the baby is crying or throwing a temper tantrum or, I have a photo of my daughter when she was very young, well, I guess a young teenager, and she had always wanted to have a cream pie thrown in her face. And I have a photo of her coming off the camp bus, and I threw a cream pie in her face, and she is just glowing. All her friends are laughing, and she is just glowing with joy. And Blythe, I look at that photo, and no matter what's happening, I just get this gut kind of smile at remembering that moment. So I think having a reminder around of a joyous time kind of balances those not so great times.
And isn't that what this is all about? We have our memories. I had Connie Gruning on from peanutbutterandwine.com, the first part of the show, and we were talking about this blanket that you can make and put pictures of your children, your grandchildren, your dogs, whatever. And it's all about the memories, whether it's a holiday, you know, whether it's just a regular day. And you're so right about that, because we all have funny stories and we all have the memories. I'm working on a blog post now that's called, You Know You're a New Mom When, and everything is humorous because I know you can't, new moms can't always look at it at 3 o'clock in the morning when they've been up 16 times and they're so tired. But, you know, I'll share something really funny that always makes me smile. When my children were both born in Portland, Maine, and we lived in a house on a hill, and I'll never forget this. I was feeding one of them, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and we had a lot of property around our house. And I was sitting there, and these little tiny field mice were running back and forth in front of me, and being a woman, I didn't know whether to scream. I didn't want this thing to be on me. And I can still, as I'm saying this, I can still see these little tiny mice that decided it was time to explore because it's the middle of the night and maybe there's food. And not that I had a dirty house, but we had a lot of property. And I'll tell you, it's the things that you remember. And I so wish that new parents would just stop for a second. You talk about the mirror. You know, the picture I put for the promo is you with the nose on. And it's great.
Right. Yeah, a little. You know, I'm looking around my office, and I just have all these things that make me smile and joy, and a rubber chicken, you know, bubbles. I love blowing bubbles, you know. Baby's crying, get out some bubbles and go in another room and blow bubbles. Or maybe the baby will stop crying if it sees the bubbles. Or, but just something, because you have a choice in any situation. You have a choice. And, in fact, my next book, which will be out in May, is called You Can't Ruin My Day.
Perfect.
You Can't Ruin My Day. And it came about because I got a speeding ticket. And I got to the gym, and I was still singing and happy, and I told people I got a speeding ticket. And they said, how can you be so happy? You just got a speeding ticket. And I said, I'm not going to let that ruin my day.
Wow,
and
you know what?
And suddenly this light bulb went off that could be a book, and so it will be in coming out in May.
Well, what a great book. And you know what? That's part of it. You can't let things ruin your day. If you can laugh, that's the best part. We have to smile and laugh and be happy every day. So we're going to break for commercial, and we will be right back with some more happiness with Allen Klein.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
Welcome to Geraldine Tegelove Live, the show that shares with you the secrets of redefining, reinventing, and rebuilding your life. Having pulled herself from the rubble of financial ruin and having gone on to create a highly successful career, Geraldine has become an expert in the art of transformation. She believes that it doesn't matter where you are right now, how overwhelmed you feel, or how impossible the task of turning your life around may seem. You can do it. Stay tuned as metaphysician, international best-selling author, and intuitive Geraldine Tegelov gives you the inner understanding and the outer practical how-to to create your amazing life. Gain a fresh perspective on how to redefine, reinvent, and rebuild your life. Join Geraldine Tegelov live every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the TogiNet Radio Network.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back. Having the Time of Your Life, Little Lessons to Live by Allen Klein, who's my wonderful guest. And one of my favorites that's in this book, of course, everybody knows, with Tom Hanks. My mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And isn't that the truth? But isn't it exciting? Because you get up in the morning and you have this whole plan, and then you know what? Sometimes that plan goes out the window in 2 seconds. So,
Right.
Alan, what do you do? How do you start your morning?
Oh, wow. Well, first I get out of bed.
Yay, good thing.
I often start with a song that I sing out loud or sing to myself, and it's grateful that I do get out of bed, and grateful for the time I've been given. And it's a very simple song. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this day.
I love it.
Very simple.
What a great
But,
way to start the morning.
And it brings up a good point for new moms. Instead of looking at any of the negative thing that's happening, look at how much they could be grateful for. That they have this beautiful child or children in their life, you know, and be grateful for that, even though the child is crying or whatever. To be grateful that they're here with that child to raise that child, that they've been chosen, I think, to bring that child up in the world.
You know, and start the day with a song with your child. There's so many fun songs to sing, Good Morning to You or any of that. And it's funny because today is National Read Aloud Day, World Read Aloud Day. So doing things aloud is so much more fun than doing them to yourself. What a great way to start the day. So what happens after the song?
Well, generally I will go to my desk. Well, I'll brush my teeth, shave, all of that stuff, shower. Then go to my desk and look at my email and then have breakfast and start my day, whether it's writing, whether it's, I often will read an inspirational quote from a book. I'm now reading, I don't know if you know Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
The Law of Divine Compensation. And one of the things I believe in, and she's writing, her subtitle is On Work, Money, and Miracles, is I believe in miracles, and many miracles seem to happen to me all the time. Too long a story to tell you, but one just happened the other day that blew me away because I was in a room of 60 people, and this woman chose to come and tell me something that was a major thing going to happen between us. And just miracles that happen to me like that. And I think if we look for those, look for the good in the world, we will find it, rather than focusing on the not so good.
So I have to ask this question. Do you have a favorite quote?
Can I say it's one of mine?
Absolutely. It can be. You know what? They're the best kind. Make them up.
And this is kind of funny because it's now all over the Internet. In fact, I saw it the other day in someone's site. But they attributed, sometimes it's attributed to Allen Klein, but Allen Klein, the same spelling as my two names, was also the Beatles' manager. So sometimes they attribute this quote to Allen Klein, the Beatles' manager, but it's mine. It's in my book, The Healing Power of Humor. And the quote is, our attitudes are the crayons that color our life. Our attitude, something like our attitude are the crayons that color our life.
Isn't that true?
And that's my favorite because I totally believe that we have a choice.
You know
and
what?
Viktor
We
Frankl talked about being in a concentration camp, about the only real power we have in life is our attitude.
You know, and that's a good example because when you look and you see some of these things that people, you know, they survived. It had to be attitude. If you give up, you know what, you're finished. If you give up with anything and you say, I can't do this, especially like you said at the beginning of the show, some of the most difficult things are the lessons we learn and we're so much stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing that I think goes along with that is our intent. So if the baby is getting upset, I mean, what is your intent? To get upset also? Or to rise above that and allow the baby to cry or pick the baby up or. But look at your day. When you get up in the morning, what is your intent for the day? That's another thing I do is how do I want to live my day today? Just put that intention out. I want it to be joyous. I want it to be happy. I'm not going to let things get in my way. Be positive affirmations. I totally believe in that, which is starting things with an intent. What do I, seeing the outcome, what do I want it to look like?
You know, it's interesting because I'm sitting here at my desk and there is something that I had written down. When you talked about intent, you were on my show a while ago, and you said at one point, I believe, that you write down your intent. And I wrote down my intentions, and I taped them to my computer, and they're still here. And it says Allen Klein.
Oh, great. And has any of that happened?
Some of it has, and it's interesting because you have to believe it. You have to believe, if whatever your intention is, you have to believe it's going to happen, or you're going to have to try to make it happen. But, right. Again, like the box of chocolates, we don't know what's going to happen in the day, and maybe it's not going to happen that day. Because it's funny, I'm going to have a guest. Her name is Paula Rizzo, and she's a list maker, and she talks about intention, and she talks about making lists. So when you get up during the day, since we're talking about intentions, do you make a list, or is it in your head? How do you get through the day organizational-wise?
Me, personally?
Yes.
Yeah, I do a list. I have a list right now going. The trouble is my list gets longer and longer. But then I circle the thing. Right now I'm looking at a list of stuff I have to do when we're off the air here. And I will just go through it. Some of them will get done, some won't. But the interesting thing is I'm looking at a book right here in my pile of books, and the top book is Listful Thinking by Paula Rizzo.
That's who's going to be on my show. Paula will be on my show on the 18th, The Listful Thinking, and it's a great book. But, for me, when I have my list like everybody else, I always try to do the thing that I hate the most first and get it out of the way. And then if for some reason I feel better doing the rest of the things, not that they all get done.
Right. I think I'm a little different. I do the easiest, get those out of the way. Yeah, it's like right now I'm doing in the middle of doing my taxes, getting it ready for my accountant, and I keep putting it off. It's on my list, but it gets further down my list. But then again, April 15th is coming, and it will get higher and higher on my list.
That's funny because I always feel like it's a reward. If I do something I don't like, then I get something I like, which is a reward. They're all such mind games with attitude. But you're right. It's all about attitude. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'll try. Do you have...
Okay. Which spot?
Okay. Now, you said your favorite quote, but do we have any other quotes that come to mind when parents are in the middle of that terrible, stressful time? Is there something, I believe if you have something that you use in your head, or like we talked about, things that make you smile, like the pie picture with your daughter, is there a quote do you think you can keep when you're in the middle of your toddler screaming over nothing?
Quote about that. Well, I'm a believer in affirmations. We just talked about that. So no quote comes to mind, but they can make up something. Like one of my favorite affirmations that I've made up for myself doesn't pertain to parent raising, but is the world treats me as royalty wherever I go.
Oh, I love that.
So, what kind of affirmation can a parent make up about, dealing with their child? My child is something, let's just brainstorm. My child is always a loving, beautiful being. So even when the child is acting up or not behaving, what if they said that quotation? My child is always a beautiful, loving being.
That's a great affirmation. You know what? I think I'll blog about it. And I'll give Allen credit.
All
because
right.
It's true. Your child, you know what? Your child is a beautiful, loving being. And when they act out, they're just doing what comes naturally. They really are.
Yeah, right. And
but
so they are always a beautiful, loving being.
And such a miracle. So on that note, we're at the end of the show. Can you please tell my listeners where to find you, where to find your books?
Right. Me and my books are all on the Internet, either Amazon or my website, www.allenklein.com. Just make sure they spell my name right, ALLENKLEIN.
Okay. Well, then I will put all that information on there as well as the podcast of the show. You are so great, Allen. Thank you so much for being on the show. You have to come back because nobody can ruin my day, especially you. So when that book comes out, you can't ruin my day. I want you to come back.
I will do that, and it's always a joy to be on your show. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Allen. You have a great day. Enjoy your list.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Wow, what a great show. Two wonderful guests. All their information, as I said, will be on the website, Baby Instructions, mybestparentingadvice.com. Next week, my guest will be Annie Pryor, the mommy genius. We're going to be talking about children and tummy troubles. And also, she's written a terrific children's book and has a I'm going to surprise you so she can tell you what else she has because she invented something that's really pretty cool. Don't forget, again, take a peek at my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. I just added a new blog post, and it will help if you have a newborn. Also, if you need a little parenting help, you can call my office. Just ask Blythe. I can help you. I do video consults, in-home if you live in Arizona, telephone consults. If you just don't know what to do with this mom or dad thing, I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I love to help, and I have tons and tons of tips that will make your life easier. So I'd like to leave you today with a couple of gems from Allen Klein's book, Having the Time of Your Life, Life Lessons to Live By. As Grandma Moses said, life is what we make it, always has been and always will be. And the Jewish toast, l'chaim, to life. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.